Gemini, hi, welcome. It's Erin Scott here with the Alchemy of Holism. And we're going to tap in. It's a day late, but this is part of your Gemini new moon cycle for the next month ahead. A lot of you might already know that follow astrology that it's an exceedingly powerful time, right? And it's only going to be exponentially more intense in the coming months and the coming few years, okay? Just so you know. And this particular time frame of your new moon cycle, this portal of sun-moon conjunction that happened at 22 degrees 44 minutes Gemini yesterday, June 13th, is powerful. Excuse me. Let me turn this off. On my list is to get Pandora without the commercials. So powerful because this particular sun-moon conjunction was very close to Mercury's placement right at the beginning of Cancer. So a lot of thoughts and images and pictures about and narratives in the head about nurturance, care, love, that we want to be more of a vehicle of love, but we also want nurturance. We want to be loved and protected and kept safe, right? And just think about the narratives that are on the collective stage right now about children being ripped away from their mothers, etc. So there's a reboot happening with regards to the calibration of the mind. There were lots of aspects that I talked about with my members. For those of you interested in getting weekly live stream access and stuff like that, you can see the Patreon link below the video. But there's lots of opportunity there for $11 a month to be in contact. Okay, so one of the things that I do is I just channel imagery, symbols, to see what comes through. So let's tap in and see what is the growth arc for the Gemini identity over the course of this month ahead, this new moon cycle. This really is to a year cycle, right? It's not just the month, but it's the arc of the year, the Gemini new moon year narrative as well. So Gemini, let's identify you up here. Okay. And I have my paints here. You're my fresh bowl here, my fresh bowl of paint, which I'm excited about. Okay. So tapping into Gemini. I'm also going to pull one of my Siri cards at the end to kind of see what another message for growth edge is for you. Gemini. So Gemini, if you've tuned in before, you know that I'm gonna tap in a little bit. It's it's been a very active time frame with this Gemini energy, and I think a little mellowness is actually pretty good. So I'm just gonna tap in here, and then we'll talk about the symbology. I have a couple of my brushes here. I think I'm going to use my other one for, I love this big brush, but let's use this one for right now. The other thing that I'll talk about is the Mars, and I've been talking a lot about with my members, is the Mars conjunct South Node. You know, we'll talk about it more throughout the summer because it's essentially happening for multiple months through summer and early fall. It's really big. It's very, very substantial. But I definitely see that there's definite activations. There's activations, by the way, in all of us with regards to suppressed old patterning of anger, rage, aggression, frustration. But there's definitely something here coming through during this cycle, mid-June to mid-July, for you as well. I don't know if you can see this, Gemini, but this is like stairs. I don't know if you can see that. It's a little bit hard for you to see maybe with the reflection of the sun or the light. Now, for those of you interested in understanding my work, which essentially combines evolutionary astrology with natural systems, the understanding of the organizing principles of natural systems, which includes the psyche, because you are a natural system, you're part of the web of life, and Byron Katie's The Work, which has been a foundation for my personal journey over the last 20 years. I invite you to go to my website, thealchemyofholism.com. I actually do have another website that's emerging. So I'll announce that probably in about, I don't know, it's either 1 month or 2 months, but I'll announce that coming up soon as well. But you can learn more about my services. I do, you can read the testimonials as well. I wish it were still raining. It had been raining all morning, and the sound was just heavenly. I have my windows closed right now because there's people right outside, but the rain stopped, unfortunately. But it's a beautiful day today. I love the rain. Okay, I'm going to stop there. I actually need to consider some of this. Some of this, it's very clear. Other, it has to come forward. So let's talk about this. Let me take a little sip of my coffee here. Delicious. Okay, Gemini. There's a couple things. One is this slanted brown, kind of an earthy brown form came through here first, then the sphere, then the yellow emanation from within, almost like a sun, and of course third chakra orientation, the will. So there's this kind of energetic or joyful ball of light, of energy, of momentum, of potential, because it's contained and it's underneath this sloped ledge, which became gold, bright gold stairs, okay? So I need to think about that because I want to talk about this first and I want to talk about this. So what ended up coming through after the slant was the red line, very neat, very precise, the red line, very neat, very precise, and then the blob, okay? And what I get is that there is anger and rage coming up, okay? It's definitely within, and it's more eruptive and organic within. The narrative of the anger, the aggression, the frustration that you're feeling is raw. like it should be for a human being. We all have raw emotion. There's raw anger inside, but you are putting on a very perhaps organized and a mask of organized anger. So you're able to perhaps hone it or contain it, make it look a certain way. So there is expression, I think, of some sort of anger, and it could be that there's a relationship with two people here. Could be for some of you that there's a relationship. So it's like there's kind of, let's say, frustrated communications coming out kind of cleanly, though. It's very Saturnian contained here and here, but underneath there's rage. There's like organic raw anger that is fueling certainly some aggressive type communications that are coming out to the people in your, whether it's family, workmates, neighbors, doesn't matter, children, doesn't matter. But you're definitely coming off in a way that could be a little bit sharp and could be a little bit to the point, cutting. It could be a cutting kind of communication, okay? And it's bound in here. So this gray orb that is containing this raw energy of anger, of narrative. There's a story there. There's a wound there. It's always a wound. And underneath anger is always fear. Underneath anger is always another narrative. So the thing here is there's a containment in gray. And I have to tell you, usually for these art scopes, I don't pull gray. I don't pull gray. I don't use that color. But today it wanted to come out and play. And indeed, there's this gray container. And Gemini, what this is referring to is a confused gray is like there's no color. So it could feel, it could feel numb. This could be like a numbness. This could be like a depressed state of being. It could feel confused. Gray is like fog. So there's a few ways by which gray can show up. Numbness, depression, like a depressed way of being that you can't really access your feelings, or confused, that you just don't know. You don't know how you feel about something. And because the gray, perhaps confusion, perhaps numbness, and perhaps a combination of all three, is wrapping around this core anger, you might not understand your own anger. So over the course of this month, you might not understand your own anger about stuff. Now, it's important, foundational, it's critical for your own healing and freedom to understand your own narratives. To do that, you have to understand your soul's blueprint. You have to understand your soul print, as I call it. So know your soul print. You have to know that in order to engage and mature. Because if you don't know what it is, then it feels random and life feels punishing. Then it's like, oh, life just is abusive and it hurts and I don't understand it. It's random. No. Living systems are never random. It's very synchronized. It's very intelligently organized. Your soul is no different. You have to understand the core narrative. So if you feel disconnected by what is causing your angry, although be it organized, sharp or cutting, let's say, communications out to the world, it's time. It's time, okay? Now, do you see these yellow kind of, solar rays coming out from this? You might mask this with joy. You might mask this with a smile. You might mask confused about your own inner rage with a certain presentation that you put onto the world, a mask. I'm happy, life is good, I'm successful, I make good money, I'm fit, I love my husband, I love my wife, whatever it is. I have 2 kids, I'm very happy, whatever it is for you. Whatever your narrative of happy is, right? Because it's very different from different people, very different. So you might put on the mask of, my life is great. I have nothing wrong with me. I don't have anything wrong with me. I don't have any anger or rage. They deserve it. The people out here deserve my anger and rage. This is very, it could be, Gemini, you're not going to like what I have to say, but this could be very projectioning. You could be projecting this month quite a bit. Now, before we go here, let's talk about the South Node, North Node conjunction that is really, really powerful. We are all feeling anger and rage or frustration or aggravation around a variety of different things that has to do with our particular soul print. But it's located in the sign of Aquarius. So we're talking about a trauma signature energy coming up. There's anger and rage around things like disempowerment. Why? Because we have this opposition to Lilith, the asteroid Lilith 1181, which is over on the other side of the chart in Cancer, okay? Now, this is a big deal. It's a big deal because right now, Pluto and Black Moon Lilith are conjunct. Although it's moving off now. Now it's starting to separate, but we still have that narrative of there's healing to do with regards to how we as humans don't feel powerful. We feel like we're victim. We feel like life happens to us. We feel like all that shit. It's a myth. It's a story. The disempowerment story is a myth. You're inherently powerful. But the thing is, you have to understand your core narrative. Now, you do feel a foundation. See this brown, foundation here? It's like earth, soil. Underneath all of this, your creativity and your joy and your optimism progressed. You feel like you've progressed in some way. I think a lot of you feel like, I'm doing pretty good in my work. I'm doing pretty good in my career. I'm progressing. I'm evolving. I'm starting to do yoga now. I'm starting to feel fit, whatever it is. You might feel that you're starting to do really well. And the thing is, you are. So you're making progressed moves toward your own joy. And you do feel some rooted foundation of being held by perhaps some physical upgrade. And I'm not talking surgical. I'm talking true, natural, physical upgrade. Diet or exercise adjustments have maybe been made. But there's some joy that is authentically being held. Physically, I think you feel pretty, at least a lot of you. It's not going to be the case for all of you. Some of you do have health issues that are going to need to be addressed. There's no question about it. But I think for a lot of you, you feel on the surface, at least, that you're doing pretty well. And the thing is, you are. You're progressing in the ways that are also important. And this is also needing your attention. You need to understand the core root of your wound causing anger, rage, and aggression, because it's never out there. Out there is only ever a reflection of in here. Only, ever, always. Always. Never is it not that. So if you're triggered by something outside of you, you hold the narrative. Now, does that mean that the issue out there doesn't exist? It exists. But you hold it. That's why you're triggered by it. So the only person or situation you can master is you. That's why this grayness, you need to now mindfully, with courage and with a willfulness, go into your own self. That's what's calling now. It's time for you to become aware of how your communications are driven by an inner wound. By the way, an inner anger wound. It's not just an inner wound. It's not like it's an inner void. This is inner rage here. We're talking red. So I'm going to go ahead and pull a card. This is from my Siri deck, my 144 card deck. And I'm going to pull a main growth edge for you, okay? Now I send you all lots of love. This is about getting really truthful. And I will never whitewash. I never have in the last 3+ years that I've been on YouTube. And I'm definitely not going to start. In fact, if anything, it's time for people to get a slap in the face and wake up. Too many people are severely asleep. Severely self-deluded too. It's time to understand what we hold. that drives our whole life. It drives our whole perception mechanism. It is absolutely fundamentally key for your peace and for your freedom. Okay, now let's pull a card. We're going to pull a quality or an area of life. Nature. Now, so this nature card is coming up for you as a distinct, let's say, growth for you, or an area of focus for your growth for this month ahead. Nature. Very specifically, I feel this is talking about not only connecting with your own nature. Do you see how the woman is in the tree? The woman is carved in the trunk of the tree. This is not only about understanding your own nature, which is definitely called for here, but this is about connecting with nature. Because when we connect with the landscape, feet on the ground, connecting with fresh air, the song of wind through the trees, the song of bird, the connection with trunk and with biota, no matter where we are in our ecological context, this connects us to the rhythm, the natural rhythm of your nature. Nature connects you. So that's the guidance. And I have to tell you, I feel that that couldn't be more perfect. This is about certainly connection with your own nature, all of it, the good, the bad, and the ugly, because guess what? It's beautiful. All of it's beautiful, even the ugly stuff, right? Because there is no good and bad. There's just what is. There's no moral judgment on it. There's just what is. And it's about honoring all of your isness. It's about reholing yourself. Nature will help you rehole. So if you want to find out more about reholing yourself, if you want to find out more about your soul print, be in touch. Okay, all the links are below. And if you feel like you desire now weekly support, you can look at the Patreon links for the $11 a month option. Okay, much love, Gemini. Until soon. Talk to you soon. Bye.